Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Panic Impromptu Live. Because, hi, I don't know if I mentioned, but I've got ADHD. I'm so thrilled. I've managed to grab Dayna for like 20 minutes because she is a person in demand right now. Let's do some quick introductions. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Heidi Mavir. I am the founder of EOTAS Matters and the author of Your Child is Not Broken, Parent Your Neurodivergent Child Without Losing Your Marbles. There we go. Sunday Times bestseller. And this is Dayna. And this is Dayna's book that I'm going to hold up. But introduce yourself while I do that.
I am Dayna Abraham. Hello, everyone. And I'm the founder of Calm the Chaos Parenting and also the author of the new soon-to-be bestseller, Calm the Chaos, a fail-proof roadmap for parenting even the most challenging kids.
Amazing. What date are we on for release for the book? Is it the 6th?
August 15th.
15th. So we're like a week out. No, 2 weeks out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, 2 weeks. Give me those.
So you might have joined me yesterday for my chat with Pete Warmby, and I am so delighted when I get to chat to other neurodivergent authors because what Pete and I were talking about before we went live yesterday was how we really feel like we're breaking the mold around people who are giving advice to parents and really bringing front and center parents who have lived experience of the things that people need help and support with, and who are also parents with experience of living in neurodivergent households who can basically impart their wisdom so that this generation of parents don't make the mistakes that previous generations of parents made, with the understanding that we're none of us getting it perfect and getting it right. And I asked Dayna if she'd jump on with me and have a chat about specifically the importance of community and what that looks like and why that's important. And I think one of the things that for me, when I first started on this journey, and I don't know if this is true for you, Dayna, but I felt so alone and I had nobody. And there was so many bits of conflicting advice. And my mental health really suffered significantly in the beginning and has done throughout. I've made no secret of that. But I was so desperate to help my kids, that my kid and my stepchild, that I just didn't even think that actually the best way to help them was to help myself and what that might look like. And you're nodding, so I'm guessing you agree.
Yes, this is 100% true. When I first started, I don't know if it's the misfortune or the fortune of being a teacher for 12 years. And so the reason I say misfortune is I think that there's this part of me that thought I should know all the things and thought I should be able to do really good job with my son. And so when he was born, the first 3 years were interesting to say the least, but I didn't feel as defeated. Once my second son came, and then once he started going into school, he's kicked out of preschool. He was in trouble in kinder, and in first grade, I was getting, you need to come to the room, and we need to have a talk. And by first grade, he was starting to get suspended. And then by second grade, he was suspended more days than he was in school. So at that point, I'm still an educator, and everyone at the school knew me as someone who presented to educators, someone who was like known. I mean, I had got like 2 years before, I had gotten an award for best preschool teacher in Chicago public schools. And yet I could not help my kid. And so that just felt really, really lonely and isolating. And so once I brought him home to try to help him, then I had absolutely nobody. And I felt so isolated. And I went into a very deep depression, and it was really hard for me to get out of that. And it probably took me another 5 years to get out of it from bringing him home at 7.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I talk about this is that we're not allowed to voice how difficult we're finding things. We have to kind of like put on this brave face, and and we're under a huge amount of pressure to not stop and to not like rest, and especially if we're ADHD, we've never really learned how to do that anyway, and we run like such a real risk of throwing ourselves into burnout, and all the while we're missing, I think, for me, this was true, missing the really big elephant in the room, which was, if you don't find a way to pace yourself, take care of yourself, get people around you who can take care of you,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to help your child. And I have conversations with parents all the time, and they're like, yeah, but what do I need to know about my kids? I'm like, well, there's loads you need to know about your kids, but actually, first of all, what you need to know is that
Yeah.
you're the linchpin holding it all together, and there's potentially something missing there. And I know that that's a big theme in your book, right?
It is. It's a huge theme in what I talk about is you being the linchpin. And, you know, I share a whole roadmap, and I don't even share about how to help the kid or what to say to the kid or what to do with the kid until stage 3. And parents are always like, wait, what is that? What are you doing? But it is so important to be connected. It is so important to be able to boost your own energy. I always tell people, I'm like, you know, we all carry around these like small computers, right? And all of us plug it in at night so that it is fully charged in the morning. And yet none of us think twice about getting up in the morning not charged ourselves. And we go through our day, right? But we would like be beside ourselves if we woke up and our phone didn't charge overnight and it was on 0. We would be like, oh my gosh, I don't have any battery. It's not going to get through the day. But we're doing that to ourselves day in and day out. And then we beat ourselves up when we can't remain calm, when we aren't able to retrieve the words we want to say, when we're not able to organize or stay focused, when we're not able to implement the things that we're learning. It just feels like, oh, it must be me. I must be broken. And it's like, you're not broken. You're just out of juice. Like, give yourself some battery, give yourself and the support. And just like you said earlier, this importance of community. I don't know if you guys, are you hearing the noise in the background right now?
What is it?
My husband making his smoothie.
That's okay. It's like really early in the morning where you are, right? It's like,
well, it's like 9:30, and where we normally do our recording, it's like 106 degrees outside, and so we have to cool it off before I can go out there. So anyway,
it's throwing down with rain here, Dayna. It's meant to be the summer, and it's
oh my gosh,
soaking
it's
wet
like
out there.
real life, right? Like real life. So I apologize for the noises in the background.
Cool.
So but about community, like the thing that I hear so often and that I used to say is, I don't have anyone else and I have no time, so therefore I can't be supported. And I think we have to first shift our mindset of, how can I find support? Where can I find support? How can I join a community? Where is that community? Because they exist, right?
Yeah.
When we are alone, we feel so isolated and our thoughts start to perseverate even more. And so when we can have outside perspective, when we can have someone to say, hey, I can see you're having a really hard time, that is when we can make forward progress. But when we're trying to do it all on our own, we don't know if, like, you know, I think of like, if you're building a house, and forgive me if my analogies are way off right now. It's like,
I love a crap analogy.
right?
Bring it on.
Right. So if we're building a house and we're doing it all by ourselves, and it's almost like building the house in the dark, and we grab something and we're like, all right, I'm going to like put these 2 boards together. And instead of getting a nail, you end up getting a screw, and you're sitting there trying to nail it in and it won't go in. Right. And it's the same, like, you need someone to come and be like, hey, by the way, that's a screw. You need a nail, right? You need someone to just remind you that maybe you have the wrong tool, or maybe you need to turn the lights on, like small things like that.
Or even show you the difference between a screw and a nail, because you maybe don't even know.
Yeah, maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't realize that there's like these little ridges, and that's what's stopping you, right? There's friction, and so they remove the friction for you. Like, that's, yes, absolutely. See, you're making this analogy work for me, even though I just pulled it out of my backside. So
I love an on the fly analogy. I love to see them develop, and I like to go down a little bit of analogy cul-de-sac and be like, oh, we've exhausted this. Okay, let's go.
I am known in my community for like on the fly analogies when my brain is like not super like, it's word retrieval, right? When I don't have the word retrieval, I end up saying the most ridiculous analogies. I was once trying to share this analogy of, you know, you put the Coke can in your purse, you carry it around all day, you pull it out, and then and then you open it up and it explodes. That's what I was trying to share. But instead, somehow I decided that I should share, it's like when you have a Coke can and you put it in your backpack and then you go riding in the desert on a camel. And then in the middle of the desert, there's a roller coaster and you get on the roller coaster and you go up and down and around. And then you get in a car and you're on a bumpy road all the way home. And then you get home and you finally open the can. Like, where was that coming from?
I mean, why only use one example when 50 will do, right? So, yeah. But I think, yes, like the thing that I see as the biggest danger for parents of children and young people who do things differently, that's how I'm preferring to refer to kids who have behavior that challenges or anxiety-led behaviors or neurodivergence or anxiety or whatever it might be. Kids who do things differently from the norm, inverted commas, whatever the hell that means. I don't think the biggest danger to those families is lack of provision for children and young people, lack of understanding of what those issues might be. They are like significant barriers, and the information is out there. The biggest danger for those families is parental burnout. For me, the biggest danger for those families is parents not having the support they need and the time and the space they need to work out whether it is a screw or a nail, and to have people to hold space for them whilst they're doing that, because we are losing people from our community every day because they feel isolated, alone, and beyond help. And it's because they don't have people who are like, we've got you,
Can I also want to call out something here, and I might get in trouble for this, but there are some great communities online. You can search on Facebook and you can find a Facebook group that's free, that has hundreds of thousands of people in it, 40,000 people in it. There is a difference between a free community and a community where everyone in it is dedicated and has set the commitment and set the intention to be there. She's saying hi. To be there and to make, the best change in their family. And you just mentioned it. You said having people to hold space for you, because in these other groups, what happens is you post and you get a couple of different scenarios. You end up getting all the advice, which just leads you more into overwhelm. Or you get all of the, well, have you looked into insert this diagnosis? And then you're like, great. Okay. So now there's more that could be quote unquote wrong with me or my kid. And that's not helpful. Or you vent and then people go, yeah, amen. Preach it, sister. Right. But you don't have any resolve. Whereas if you have a community that knows you, that gets you, that also all has the same common language and roadmap, like in your community, then you're going to have people, when you post, there's systems for how the community supports each other, how everyone comes together for each other, so that you're not overwhelmed, so that you're not more stressed out, so that you're not pulled in 20 directions. We call it spaghetti on the wall. We say no spaghetti on the wall in this community, and everyone has to agree. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to be here to hear you, to support you, and when you're ready, give you your next step.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share that, because I know you create that community.
And I have a free community. We have a Facebook community for 10,000 families. It's impossible for us to be taking care of each other in the way that you get in a smaller cohort. 100%. And it's not appropriate. It's like people do post in my big community anonymously, but they don't want to be spilling the detail. Whereas you kind of, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a community like my Unstoppable Parents community or like your community, but you do need somewhere where the people in that space have shared terms of reference, shared understanding, shared lived experience, shared compassion for each other's circumstances, and when they're on each other's side. So there isn't that kind of like misunderstanding that you sometimes get in larger communities where people are understandably defensive because they've made themselves vulnerable very publicly. Something gets misunderstood, and then you get a bit of a trauma. Yeah. You get like a drama and trauma cycle.
Yeah.
And like thankfully, we have really good admins in my big group, but it does happen. And I see it happening on public pages a lot. And you're just
Yes.
like, oh my God.
Yeah, and there's only so much you can do on the public page or in the big groups. And so that is why something like the Unstoppable Parent or our Calm the Chaos community, I mean, but Unstoppable Parent, we're on your page. Like that's why people, and it's open right now, right? I believe you've got your Unstoppable Parent community open.
We
And so
start
that's,
tomorrow. Isn't that a strange coincidence that we will be talking about community live on Facebook when my community starts tomorrow? That's
oh,
such a strange
that's such a
coincidence.
strange coincidence.
If
Yeah.
only there was a community that met some of these things
If
that we're talking about.
only, yes. And I see some comments from Helen even saying this is what the Unstoppable community does for you, or does for her. So that's amazing. And I can tell a difference. And I've seen people in our world who would be in our free community, be on our free pages for years. And we would do these free workshops and they would come to all the lives and they would come to all the trainings, all the free stuff. And then they would say, well, maybe next time. Well, maybe next time, or I'm going to go implement on my own. And then the next year, when we did the training again, or when we opened again, they were in the same place or worse because they didn't have accountability. They didn't have support. And it always broke my heart to see that gap widen from where they wanted to be and where they are. And then they would finally join and they're like, oh, I just wish someone could have told me this is what it's like on the other side. Like I wish someone had told me it's like chosen family instead of the family that's like incredibly dysfunctional. But you make some of your best friends there. And
Yeah.
I'm going to give another analogy. This one's not brand new, so hopefully it comes across all right on this early morning. I heard this story about someone sharing about how we go to let's say we're going to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor tests our vision and gives us these brand new glasses. And we're like, wow, I can see now, right? Things aren't blurry, things are clear. I feel so good. Like I'm ready to like go conquer the day. You go home and you hand your glasses to your partner, or you hand your glasses to your child or to a friend. They put them and you're like, these are the best thing ever. You got to see through this. And they put them on and they can't see anything. Everything's blurry. And they're like, I don't understand what you're seeing. This is awful. This is terrible. This person, why would you believe this person? They didn't give you a good prescription. You should go back, or you should leave that doctor. Right. And so, but the truth is that you're trusting your vision, your intuition, your gut with someone who doesn't have the same vision as you. And so when you join a community of people who have the same vision as you, who have the same belief system. I mean, I hopped on with you this morning and I got that feel of community. I got to, we did some work together, but before that, we just chatted mama to mama, like what is going on? And I shared some hard things that are happening with my 18-year-old. And you were like, yeah, this is common, right? And like, it doesn't feel common, but because I wasn't afraid to share with you because I knew we had a shared vision. I knew we had a shared goal, and I knew that I was going to be supported and you were going to hold that space. And so I think that's the power of a community that gets you.
That's that's the bit that's missing for so many people. Like I had, in my subscription this morning, we had a Q&A, and one of the parents came on and shared something about their child being very unwell, and in burnout. And they were like, I am terrified that they're really not well. And can anyone tell me that this is going to get better? Mm-hmm. And, half a dozen parents, I was exactly where you are 3 years ago. I was exactly where you are, however long ago it was. There's no time scale on burnout. We know this. But I could tell that for that parent, being in that moment with other people who were not going to go, what, your kid doesn't get dressed, whatever, what, they stay on their Xbox all night long, what, you don't turn the router off, like, was just what they needed in that moment. They didn't
100%.
need someone to teach them how to make an application for government funding. They needed someone to go, yeah, you're not going mad.
They needed that lifeline to pull them through the hard part, right? Because it's like, if you don't know that it's possible, you'll give up. because you're like, there's no point of us keep going. But if you know that just around the corner, or maybe around 3 corners, if you just keep pushing, you're going to make it to that end destination or to a better place, you're going to keep going. And that's what that does. Hope is huge, and camaraderie is huge. And it's such a missing piece in so much parenting advice out there. And I see Sharon saying like the information is only half the battle. There's knowing, and then there's doing. There's knowing, and then there's feeling. And you need the full picture to really make that forward progress.
You absolutely do. You do. And that's why I'm so excited that Unstoppable Parent starts tomorrow. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm also very excited for your book, because I think that one of the good things about being able to have the time, it's making the time. Like, I always think when people buy my book, I don't know if you feel this, I think, God, they've invested more than just however much the cover price is. They've said, I'm going to spend this amount of time. I mean, like, yours is quite a lot chuffing thicker than mine, crikey. But how many words is it? It's a lot, isn't it? But it's very pick up and put downable, your book.
It is. Don't be afraid by the size. It is written by someone who has ADHD, who didn't read a book until they were in college, and who doodles to make sense of the world. And so it is written in 5-page chunks. And so, but it's meant to be comprehensive, so you can use it for all challenges.
Yeah. But one of the things I think is like, when people invest in buying a book, it's the same as when people invest in joining a community. Like, I do not like play down the importance of someone saying, I'm going to give this some time, right? There's no quick fix with parenting generally. There's certainly no quick fix. If there was, you wouldn't have written this great big chunky book on parenting, or I wouldn't have ranted for this many words. If there was a quick fix, we would give it to you, and we would go, oh yeah, well, all you need to do is this thing.
Well, I think that's where we've all been done a disservice. I feel like we're coming out of a time in parenting advice where that is what has happened for the last 10 years. I feel like we've been getting the simple hack, the one tip, the if you just do this, the script, say this, not that. And we're like trying those hacks. They work for a second. And then, like my husband was telling me a story about how someone in our community was like, oh, I played hide and seek with my kid before bedtime, and they hid in the bed and they fell asleep. I found a hack to getting my kid to sleep. And like, they were joking, but like, how many people would be like, one hack to get your kid to go to bed? And it's like, well, that is going to work once. It is not going to work over time.
No, absolutely not. And I think that's one of the things that with the work that you do, when you talk a lot about working from like the inside of yourself and out, and like, you're like Mr. Miyagi, you can't layer those skills on until you're like the wax on, wax off of parenting.
Yeah.
And like, parents like, hey, just tell me, how do I get my kid to? And you're like, patience, my child, wax on, wax off. And like, that's it, you're the Mr. Miyagi of parenting. But if setting your kid on a step for 3 minutes worked, we'd do it, right? We're not idiots.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I've tried it all. It all, because you hit a point where you do all the things that align with what you believe, and then you do all the things that like make you feel really gross and icky on the inside, but you try it anyway to be like, okay, fine, maybe they're right. And then you feel even worse, and your kid doesn't like you. Like, what's the point?
And I feel like that whether it's reading in a book or being in a community, that commitment to the time of it's kind of like mindfulness for parents of kids who do things differently. It's like, what do I do in the moment to manage getting to the next bit? Right? So it's not what do I need to do, it's how do I take care of myself while I'm doing the things. You can follow a step-by-step approach to get whatever support you need, or to advocate for your child, or to fight whatever systems you need to fight for, or none of that is simple and straightforward. And in the middle of that, you've got to find a way to just take care of your heart and take care of your soul. And I think community and good books is the way to do that.
I agree. I think that community, I mean, I'm gonna say community is number one. But having a roadmap to follow, or having advice to follow. And I know you have like an Unstoppable Parent program that walks people through exactly how to build this relationship and how to advocate for their kids. And so coupling that with a community is just, it's unstoppable.
So that's our pitch for today, everyone. Just in case you were wondering, I asked Dayna to come and help me sell places on Unstoppable Parent. It is open.
Be sure you put that link in there for people to join Unstoppable Parent.
It's there. Go to my website, go to the For Parents section or For Family section at the top, or just search Unstoppable Parent Heidi Mavir. We start tomorrow. It's a 5-week program for parents and carers in neurodivergent households to take you from overwhelmed worrier to unstoppable warrior in a month. And like, we can't promise miracles, but we can promise that you'll be in a place with other people who get it, and that we will scratch that community itch. That's what I can absolutely promise to you. And I just want to thank you, Dayna. And for people who haven't yet got hold of the book, you can get it on pre-order.
Yeah, you can go to calmthechaosbook.com, and we link to places in UK, and we also link to, we actually have a UK publisher now. So
this is going to be the book that people dip into over and over and over and over again. There's really nice little pictures in here. I think it's really honest. I love how honest it is. I love how it's like, okay, so this is what you should do, and probably sometimes it won't go that way, and when it doesn't go that way, this is how to deal with that. That's what we all need.
Yeah, so, I definitely am like, this is not a one-stop shop. So it is going to, here's best case scenario, and here's what happens if this does not work.
Yeah, with the understanding that we're all trying our best, right? And we just need to take care of ourselves and each other while we're doing that. So I really appreciate you coming and joining with me today. I know we're going to do some more stuff, and I know you've got to go now and put on a bra and makeup, because
I have that part covered. I just need to put makeup and do my hair, and then I'm good, because I have another podcast or a podcast.
Impressive. Well, I appreciate you being able to turn up without makeup and with bonus bra. I was not.
I know.
Well done.
I don't even have my PJ pants on. Like, normally I'm like party on the top and sleep on the bottom.
I don't even know if that's not the right phrase at all. But
anyway. I don't think that's
it. Morning after on the bottom. Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm usually in like my yoga pants or my pajama pants or something that is not camera ready on the bottom.
Newsreader, like real life. Yeah. Okay. All right. So everyone, thank you for joining us. And if you're coming and joining us in Unstoppable Parent, we start tomorrow night. That's Thursday, the 3rd of August. Don't miss out. We're not running this again this year. I think we've done a good enough job of telling you how important it is. If you still need convincing, that's totally fine. If it's not for you now, that's also totally fine. And if it is for you, we would love to see you over there. I'll see you all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.